Okay, I think we're live.
Cool.
So we
So it's
had
episode 5.
episode 5, and before that we recorded pretty good conversation for 15 minutes, and then found out that nothing was working. It's
It
pretty
was
nice and
like it felt
sunny, huh?
right. It felt warm, like unusually warm for winter, but yeah, it was nice, like just to get some, nice weather and like go for a long walk. Yeah.
Yeah, we went for a walk maybe uh, not that long ago, a few hours ago. It's cold, but it was very sunny, so
Right.
it's kind of nice. Okay, so today's topic is gonna be Puppeteer, and I don't have any formal slide for this. It's gonna be more of a, I don't know, like a live demo. Hopefully, things go well.
Hmm.
And yeah, for people that are not familiar, this is Puppeteer. It's a it's basically Node API for controlling Chrome. So Chrome works on the DevTools protocol. So this project is more of a wrapper around the DevTools protocol because it's pretty. I haven't tried it myself, but it looks pretty complicated to use the DevTools protocol itself. But this with the Node
Hmm.
API, it's pretty nice. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like I tried to, like I was looking for some things, like I wanted to potentially try to extract some of the coverage data, like how when you can like go to Chrome DevTools and like look for coverage for CSS or
Mm-hmm.
JavaScript. So like I wanted to like try to build a tool where like you take a page and then you look at what's not used on that page and remove everything that is not used. So like I wanted to
Mm.
do that, like just take some CSS and JavaScript, remove everything, and just see how faster it would be. But at that time, it didn't work too well. Like just that coverage, like kind of like the way how they were marking lines that were in use versus not in use. Like sometimes they were including code that is not used, but also like say the closing bracket, but not the opening bracket. And as a result, like if you remove that, then like it was breaking all
Okay.
of the code.
Okay. Okay.
So I tried to look into it, but not too deeply.
But you were trying to use Puppeteer for that, or you were
Oh
directly
no, no,
going
no.
into DevTools?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
just
Okay. 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 I see. Yeah, I always wondered about that coverage tool. I never tried. Like, I never. Yeah. Sometimes it looks like a lot of it is not used, and I always think like, what if
mm,
some of the CSS is used at runtime by
correct.
JavaScript?
Yeah,
How do they know?
they don't know. Like you have to click around to see like the coverage increase. Uh, like it's just a static analysis tool,
Oh, okay.
but uh, but what it can give you is like it kind of like you see the ratio, like how much is unused, and you're kind of like getting the idea. Okay, this page used only 10% of everything, so probably like even with all of the interactions, it wouldn't go to 90%, right? And then like you can like that's where like I wanted to remove everything that is not used and see like how much faster actually it would be. But yeah, maybe sometime.
Well, imagine you use Puppeteer for that.
Oh yeah, would be cool.
Maybe take screenshots of every interaction to show you if
Hmm.
things are breaking or not. That's one thing that's very popular in the Puppeteer world is the automation testing.
Right.
People use it for that. I mean, people also use it. All the examples you see are like turning websites into PDFs. Apparently, everybody
Hmm.
wants to do that. I don't know why. It's like the worst
Yeah,
use
like
case.
well, why not? Like because I heard some companies like who are say like they are specifically like .NET focused and they like try to use Iron PDF or something like that, and then like they spent like a week trying to figure out like how to work with it. While this one is super easy to like just take a page and generate a PDF out of it.
Okay.
So
there's a real use case. Okay, so
yeah.
this is gonna be, like I said, it's just gonna be us winging it. So we'll set up a project, Puppeteer core. No, I don't want Puppeteer core. Okay, let's just install Puppeteer. So I have a new project here. Well, I have an old project, a new project. So we'll just initiate a new npm. What is it? npm init force.
What force flag for?
Oh, so it doesn't ask me what's your project name and all this stuff.
Oh, I see.
I hate that.
I always use yarn and like I just pass, I think, y parameter so that it would skip the steps.
Yeah? Okay. I haven't used yarn in so long. Yeah, it's not as popular in the Angular world. Everybody uses npm.
Mm-hmm.
We're not as innovative as you guys in the React community.
Well, it's not driven by that, like not by innovation. Like there was a real need to use yarn at that time. I don't know if there is still a need, but like since we have it, that's why we use it.
Oh yeah, it's hard to switch once you're into one, and everything is working. I remember at one point the package lock was so much better in yarn, like.
Yes, log files were better. Just like the kind of like you were more like you had better chances to install like a lot of packages like without failure.
Yes.
Versus npm.
Yeah, we had a big app, Angular 2, like when it first came out, and everything works locally, but on Jenkins things were always failing. And then as soon as we added, like I tried npm package lock, it wasn't working. Or no, it was shrink wrap, I think. It wasn't even package lock.
Yeah,
at the time. And then as soon as we went yarn, no problems. Never had any dependency problems. Okay, so this is, I just installed Puppeteer. Okay. Sorry about that. So that's the first step. And the next step is, Sergey, what would you like to, is there something that you want to collect data from? Want to aggregate a list? You want to build an API for something? We can do that today.
Well, I am into anime, so like we can, like try to scrape some of the popular titles and maybe if we can ratings for them.
Okay. Sure. Puppeteer.
And like we didn't plan any of that. Like everything is happening on the spot right now.
Yeah, exactly. So what's a good website to get
anime? I have no idea. Let's just like maybe I don't know, just like Google it. Like, anime top titles or something like that.
Okay, so that's not a bad list. We can use this. Best anime. What's the first one? Death Note is the number one on the list for many reasons. Firstly, it's been voted number one. Do you know this one?
Yes, it's a very good one.
Oh yeah? Okay, so they're all in one page, which is good. That's easy.
So let's maybe like instead of rating, we'll have title and like an image. And I don't know if there is a link to it as well.
Yeah, image we can, as long as we're not actually downloading the image, it'd be easy.
Yeah, just like
source. Yeah.
Just display the original one. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay, let us. So, as a first step in Puppeteer, what I usually do is I try to find the selectors that we need. So it just needs a little bit of investigation. So we can see here the title is under H2. So if we go query under query selector, let's just get all the H2 elements and see what it's made out of. Can't can't tell. What I'm gonna do is array from, and then document, copy it. Map and text content.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
not bad.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I think, except for the last one, everything's good.
As seen on. Oh, they added the H2. Okay, so maybe what we'll do at the end is we'll just slice that one.
Cool.
Okay, so that's not bad. So that's the... Oh, but... yeah, that's fine. And then the image... So
or maybe we can like change it as selector as well. Like we could, like, instead of query selector all H2, we can exclude the one that doesn't have widget title.
How do we do that?
So I think like you would use not like put colon into H2, so like something like that. I'm not sure. Like let me just try it out. So not H.
Oh,
right.
You're a genius. So what is the widget title? It's another?
Yeah, like that's what I saw over here in your node list. It showed the last one as widget title, and everything else doesn't have this class name. So
awesome.
Seems like it's working.
Look at this, man. Teamwork. Okay, so that's a good selector to keep. Well, I'm just gonna copy it here. This one. And put it in our... so title selector, we'll just add it as a string for now.
Yeah. And Marwan, can you increase font just a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Okay. So we have the title selector. And the next thing is, let's see the images. So if we go H2 and then image. No, it's not part of the same container. This... H2 entry content is... No, that's not per item, is it?
No, it doesn't look like.
Okay, now if we just get all images, let's see.
All right.
We have to get the... Let's just see what the item is.
Was there like any...
Do we just go dot source? Will that work?
Yes.
Okay. Source.
Uploads. Well, it's displaying a bit more of them. I think. I wonder if we can use some specific class.
Okay, let's see. Align center. Size full, maybe?
Sure, let's try.
So image, and then size full.
Okay, so as seen on, so the last one is wrong, but what's the first one? Type and trigger element. No, so...
It's still not the first. What about if it's adjacent to H2? Can we do
right.
that?
Yeah.
So H2, like this, right?
Let's try. I don't know. I think... interesting. Let's give it a try.
No.
I think maybe like you have to do something like H2 plus P and then try to do the image.
Like this?
Sure. Let's see.
Yeah, it worked. Nice. Death
How
Note is
how
the
many
first
did
one.
we get?
27?
Right. And how many did we get for the first
Let's see.
one?
Okay, let me just remember this one.
Mm-hmm.
This one. H2 not widget. 29.
Hmm.
Do they all not have images?
Maybe there are a couple that don't have it. Those are good titles. Did you watch any anime at all?
I mean, I've seen them like when I was younger. I've seen some, but they were like translated to Arabic and stuff. I've
I see.
never. I don't even know what they would be called. Stuff. They'd rename them. I do remember that guy, Detective Conan.
Oh, I see.
Is it the
I
same?
didn't watch it, but
Okay.
but I know about it.
I mean, I know Pokemon. That's a pretty good one.
Of course.
But Detective Conan is not here. Dragon Ball Z, I kind of know.
So what I'm thinking is maybe let's try to keep going like with existing selectors, and oh yeah, this one doesn't have it. And what about the 28?
So
So
there
at
must
least
be
one of
another
them.
one that doesn't have it then. That's why.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's do that. So let's get the titles first. How about that? Let's get the titles. Let's get familiar with the API here.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we have Puppeteer, let's look at the example. So this is how you kind of initiate it. You get a browser instance once you launch Puppeteer.
And can you also enlarge it just a little bit?
Sure.
Like the...
Good call. It's better?
Yep.
Yeah, so you require Puppeteer. You launch it, you get a browser instance. Now in the browser you can do a new page. And then within the page, that's when you run your queries and whatever you need to do. You can. That's kind of the main target that you're working within. And once you're done, you just close the browser. Okay?
Cool.
So I'll just copy this example. And obviously this is just, wrapped in a immediately executed function expression or something. Right? That's what it's called.
Yep.
Yeah. Because of for people that are not familiar with async and await, if I remove this and this, they will complain that await can only be used in an async function. So the way around it is you wrap it in this thing. So it immediately executes this async function.
Or as an alternative, you probably can use promises instead of async await.
Yes, that is also an option. Not as nice, but yeah, you can absolutely just do the ugly way, and then but you have to chain them.
Right.
But it's still an option.
Well, in some parts it might be better. Again, depends on your use case. But if you do some error handling, I think promises are much nicer than async await. Say what if Puppeteer, obviously maybe you don't care too much, but what if Puppeteer launch fails and you want to handle it in a particular way, or what if browser new page fails and again you want to handle it in a particular way. That's where I think promises win.
But you can do the try catch, no?
Yes, but then that's where you get the uglier part of the async await, right? That's where you would have.
That's when it gets crazy because you have to wrap every single.
Right.
Yeah. So then every statement has to be wrapped. Yeah. Which you're kind of undoing. Luckily,
right,
with our product that we're building, which is just gonna hit the
Yes.
market next week.
Yep.
We don't do error handling. No unit testing and no error handling. Those are our guiding principles in this
Yes.
product.
Just slap everything together and deploy.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I'll salvage some of this example stuff. So here's the URL. We don't need to take a screenshot. I'm removing that. I'll increase the font a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's complaining about types. Now something else that I like to do is just install types to get some, just to get the IDE to give you some hints.
So it's basically, right now you're installing a package for WebStorm to pick up some of the TypeScript, I guess, definitions and give you like a nicer autocomplete.
Yes. Yeah. So there's that types, the repo, I guess, that has all the, like most of the libraries are there. So as soon as you do add types Puppeteer, then, yeah, usually your TypeScript service, if you're running a TypeScript project, then your TypeScript service would connect to that. But in this case, I'm not really running a TypeScript app. I haven't converted it to an app, but WebStorm will start picking up. So at least I have some autocomplete, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can see all the types are here now. Okay, so let's go to the URL. So the URL is this guy here. Okay, and then here we go. Now, as a first try, let's just launch this, see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so let's go npm node index.js. By the way, Puppeteer will install a Chromium binary, so it's in the node modules. That's what it's going to use to launch. But then you can configure it. Oh, okay. So I'm running in, I think by default, it runs in headless. So I have to set it to false in order to see what's going on. Useful for debugging. So this is what's happening. So the browser went to that page and exited.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, in order to translate this into, like, the selector into Puppeteer language, we can go page dot this guy here, which is equivalent to query selector. But then if you want to do the query selector all equivalent, you have to do the double $, and then you do title. That should give you back an array, and let's just you know what, let's do table. Is it better? Display.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll run it again.
So it's querying the page now for those titles.
Yeah, but why isn't it doing anything?
Oh, nice. Okay, so we got something there.
Yeah, I need to map over it. So this is, I got the DOM elements, basically. I didn't map over it. I need to do that. So title. It took a while, I guess, maybe because it was getting back all these objects.
Right.
Title.
Have typo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Title. title element dot text content. I'm gonna turn off the headless just so it's not keeps popping up. So we'll just look at it through the console here. I don't think I can zoom this in.
Yeah, there is a setting for it, but I don't know if you can do it with control.
Map is not a function.
Right, because like that's what I thought as well. Like you have that await page and then selector. You probably.
I just want to reference what I did for my POC. Just a little bit of cheating here. Oh right, it's a callback. Okay. It's a callback. It gives you a callback.
Oh, cool. I don't know.
Well, I think. Invalid number of arguments. Okay. Let's just use that then. That's what I used in. Oh right, yeah. There's multiple ways to. Yeah. Okay. So, it's from my experience with Puppeteer, it has its own wrappers around things like clicking buttons, getting selectors. But then if you want to execute within the DOM and like kind of have full control over what you want to execute, what kind of query you want to execute, you want to use this eval. So I forgot the syntax of using the double dollar sign and the single dollar sign, just a slightly different context. You get different API. But from my experience, this is the most reliable way, is to just run your good old DOM API query. And you could do the same thing by triggering like click events as opposed to using the Puppeteer wrapper way of clicking a button, you know?
I see. So like when you use eval, then you're actually like working kind of more directly with the DOM, like with document object model.
Yes.
While if you use those double dollars, then like it's more kind of like another wrapper on top.
Yes. And we can, you know what, we can try it. Let's see if this works. And let's compare what it looks like with the double dollar sign. So we're just looking over here. Okay, we got one item back.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Title selector. How do we execute query selector all? I'm gonna cheat here. Go back to my sample app. Let's go to master.
So like when you use the actually it seems that there is double equal.
It's a double. So if we go to the API here, this method runs document query selector within the context. And then let's try double. Yeah, query selector all. No. So that's just knowing the API. Okay, let's run it again. Clear this, run. I think this will be it.
Undefined. Text content.
This is an array. Oh, I have to map over it. It gives me back an array. Yeah. Right?
So what? Potentially, I'm not sure like what kind of callback it's getting. Like it's just getting like everything, just a return from the eval, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you need to kind of map over here.
Okay. Item equals and text content.
Right. Let me just like improve some readability here.
Sure.
Okay, so taking this and yes would be like titles. Okay, let's see.
Let's see. It's gotta do it. Okay, here
Nice.
we go. So, pretty good. Now let's try to get the images. So there's a few ways to do that. We can either use query selector, or based on the item we get, we can add another query selector to get the image associated with it.
Okay.
Alright? Okay, let's do that. This is our query selector. So now when we map, we need to turn this into a function.
Right. Do you need to return it as well?
Yeah, I do. So instead of returning the one item, we will be returning kind of, right? Title.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try this out quickly. And now we're gonna have to fetch the image source associated with this, right?
Right. Yes.
So how do we do that?
So, like, the way how I would try to approach it, like I would use that selector that you have, like to kind of find the next paragraph from that item, and then like try to find the image. So like within that map function, somehow we need to get another query from that element.
Okay, so so right now the title, this TS is actually the DOM, it's a DOM object, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can technically, okay, so I guess we have to work with the page. Yeah, what is this type? It's an array. What is item? Can we work with that? Item.
There's no UL. Like you can probably do query selector, like if it's a DOM at this point, right?
Okay. And then we use that same, well, not the exact same selector. We use how do you find the insert adjacent?
Yeah, it's like you need to find where the item is from the parent's perspective, and then find the next sibling after it. Right. Maybe there is a better way to do it.
Maybe. Okay, just want to make sure I'm getting these objects here. Okay, so TS is the titles, and That's the query selector all. I think we have to use the page to get the title.
Okay.
The image. Okay, let's just take a look at the API.
Just like trying to think of the selector. If there is a selector that could, like take the current one and then like from that find its siblings, but I can't think of one like that.
Yeah, or even if the page eval, if it takes a DOM, see, it only takes a selector. Okay, let's see. Can it take a DOM element? Doesn't look like it. Selector is always a string here. Page function.
Well, like if we would have jQuery, then like, everyone would use siblings for it, but what's the native way of doing that? Or like previous and next, like there is...
Yeah. So you have to find the parent, right? You were saying? It makes sense.
Well, right. It's kind of like one way of doing it.
Because we're at the H2 right now.
Yes.
And then we say... Okay, so we're at the H2. Now, this element here is next element sibling. Next element sibling vector selector image. So using the native DOM API should do it.
Okay,
but
let's go with that.
Will work. Let's see.
It will, because like it worked in browser, and like I think like the way how they wrote it here, like it should use the native URL.
Next element sibling. What did I type in? Oh yeah. Okay, it's a long shot. Fingers crossed.
And just need to get SRC from that as well.
Yeah, good call. That's SRC. Let's do this, boys and girls.
Okay.
Something blew up. Oh, do we need to map over that?
Don't think so. What's there? What does it say?
Cannot read property.
Right.
No.
So because there are some that don't have it, right? So like we need to add some error handling here. Okay. Remember how like it returned only 27 out of 29?
Yeah.
If we could use a newer version of ES6, then we could use those like that question mark syntax.
Yeah, the optional chaining.
Right.
Yeah. So in this case, I will use slow dash get maybe, or you know what? Let's just do it dirty. So
yeah.
This is the image. And girl otherwise no.
Little typo there.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Right, and so we're getting SRC, otherwise it's null. All right.
JavaScript 101. Okay. Let's do this.
I think it should work. Nice.
Yes. It worked. You're a genius, Sergey.
Okay. I don't know if that's the correct image. Maybe instead of SRC, we need to use something else. Because it says lazy, please. Oh, it's trickier.
Is it loading the source set instead?
Well, they use JavaScript there to preload images, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't get...
You get the idea, everyone.
But I wanted those images.
Oh man, how did they do that? I mean, how would you do it? I guess we could do a timeout.
So I think there are, like, I can think of two options. Like, scroll the page so that images preload, but that's maybe too slow. Or try to see, like, I think they have the data.
It's actually done on like whether or not you're viewing it. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But take a look at the image. Maybe there is like some attribute that they use like to find the original source. Oh, here it shows everything. Oh no, some don't have it. Like if you look at the SRCs, then at sources, like some have lazy load placeholder.
Oh yeah.
So maybe there is another attribute that we should use.
Yeah, let's see.
Right.
Okay. Current source.
Right, so that's what we saw. And is there one that can you display like outer HTML?
Data set.
Oh. Cool. So that's what we need.
So dataset dot source. Dataset dot source. Okay, let's try this. Look at us. Scraping everything.
Nice.
Oh yeah, there we go. Let's try that. Beauty. Okay, so far so good. We don't need this. It turned out to be a lot more complicated. So let's say, you're really a big fan of anime and you want to wrap your scraper in an Express app. You want to do that?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so let's install Express. Save it. And Express equals take a second. Server equals Express, something like that, and we will make this into a function. Anime. Isn't that how you spell anime?
No, that's right. It's weird.
Okay, so now we wrapped this function anime. So let's set up express, and you know what? Let's still express types. So let's say best anime, and then we have best response. Response dot send, right? Best anime data equals anime wait, but then this has to be async. And we'll just send that back.
Is there like a send JSON or something like that? Or response JSON? Right.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it built in, that body parser? I think you might have to add it. Okay, let's see. So response.json. So now, if I go to Postman, oh, I have to actually server dot, what is it? Server dot start? No. Server dot. Okay.
It's like lunch or something, but I don't remember off top of my head.
I know. It's always surprisingly, it's easy, but I forget.
Yeah, it's just like 5 lines or something.
Listen.
Here we go.
Okay. Yeah. Server dot listen. And let's do 3000.
Yeah.
So now we should not get the data. Should just run our server. Yeah, I can do a callback, I guess. Okay, let's see Postman.
There is also a built-in client into WebStorm.
No way.
For
I haven't used
for that stuff.
What is it?
REST, like search for REST.
Test RESTful web service?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I never have to leave WebStorm ever. 3000. I might have used it at one point because I have a thing in here. Okay, so let's just hit the server.
And then like they also have like they're saying this client is deprecated, so try to our new HTTP client in the editor. But it's kind of like that's how you do it.
Okay, I like this one more.
Right.
Okay, so if I go 3000, it's returning some error, which I'm guessing that's what? Oh, I'm not supposed to put the whole thing in there?
Oh, just moved it. Best anime. So it's queuing the page, hopefully. Let's see if we get anything back. Response body is empty. Let's do send instead.
Sure. Let's do send. And let me turn on the make it headless false so we can see what's going on. Come on. Oh, not even launching our.
So it's definitely calling this function. Maybe add some console logs so that we can see if anything's happening. Oh, you know what? Did you? I think you need to restart your terminal, right? Like you don't have a watcher.
No, I don't. Oh. Oh, okay. This stuff did get displayed.
Yeah, I see. So we never run the server. That's why. And it wasn't really launching anything. It was just like waiting for response, but it never got it. Here we go.
Fingers crossed. Oh, wow, these are beautiful ads. Oh yeah, what did it do? Response body is empty. Let's go to the terminal.
Could not be terminated. What's that? But it did. It did return everything. It's just then displayed.
How many node instances do I have running? Just one.
No, you have to. If you search by name, you'll see better.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll try it again. Response.send. It's not even launching Chrome.
You wanna put a callback like for that server listen so that we can see if it even started the server? Oh yeah. Okay. So it's definitely.
Oh yeah, I need to actually hit the thing.
Right. Here we go.
Definitely shouldn't be taking this long. Okay. Best anime puppeteer. Oh, there we go. So, we're getting the stuff back from Puppeteer, but it's not responding back to the client. What could be going wrong?
Oh, I know. I have an idea. This one, maybe we don't return results.
Oh, yes. You're right. You got it. So titles, we just need to return titles. Silly.
Cool.
Okay, I think this should do it.
But, do we need to restart the server though?
Yes, we do.
So many things. Oh, that's web development for you.
It takes a lot to build an API, you know. But now anybody could just hit our API to get the best anime. They don't need to browse the web.
You need to put it on GitHub after.
Yes, we have to. We will put the code on GitHub. As simple as it is. What? Oh, yeah, I need to call it. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. Yes.
And yes, awesome.
Look at that.
Good job.
Thanks, man. Thanks for your help stealing this this demo. Okay. There you have it. You can build an API pretty easily with Puppeteer.
Nice. So what are the different use cases for using Puppeteer? You mentioned like automation. Now seems like we're doing some scraping. Like, is there other examples like where it can be useful?
Yeah, it's like automation. I think is pretty big. You
Mhm.
mentioned last time that other project Playwright, which
Oh yeah,
the same team is working on. The reason why I didn't demo that one because it's still in like version 0.5 or something. It's not even
I see.
first major release yet.
I
But
see.
for those guys, they're gonna make it cross-compatible. It'll work with Firefox and Internet Explorer and Safari,
Mhm.
which is pretty cool. I think for automation, this is like a killer app. Um, but on the other hand, like what I really like about it is like if you want to, let's say, like for my personal project, I'm working on aggregating all of my financial data from different banks, and there's
Mhm.
no way to do that. So I'm building my own dashboard, and there's obviously the banks don't have APIs, anything like that. So I'm building my own like API to retrieve all my data. Like I should be able to have access to it, but the banks
Mhm.
are not there yet.
Mhm.
They're not providing API, so it's a very good use case. Um, you know, like getting for your own project, for your own.
Right.
If you're building a dashboard and there's no APIs that support what data you need, this is great.
Yeah, like I agree. Like I also like have a dream of like, have one kind of like page where I come and like it has everything that I need.
Yeah.
Like maybe some things that I'm interested in, or something like you mentioned, like financial data, weather, train availability, like etc. etc. So like all of that in one place would be nice.
Yeah. And the other thing is, well, I don't think we have time to do that, but if you wrap this into GraphQL,
Mm-hmm.
then it's even better because your financial data, whatever you're building, all this dashboard stuff, you can just keep building wrappers and go to graphical and just query. Like you'll see what do I have here, and that's where I really wanna. That's my dream of having a GraphQL behind all my financial data, so I can query exactly what I need.
I
Kind of
see.
thing. But yeah, man, you should try it out. I mean, you can see how easy it is. It's pretty straightforward.
Yep. I think like if you would be interested, like we could try like like have another episode. Like I think it would be a shorter one, like where we could try to use like I wanna still like give a try for promises, like like using promises for that kind of stuff, and show like how if you apply some light functional concepts, then it might turn into something very nice too. But
Yeah, we can try that now or in the future. It's up to you. I'm okay either way.
probably in future. I think like this is good enough. Like we
How long have
like we
we
had
been
our
on air for?
not even sure, but probably 40 minutes already at least.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. So do you want to give like a quick summary of what we did here?
Yeah, of course. So, started with Puppeteer. We included that to the project. Then me and Sergey kind of half of it I knew, half I didn't know. So it was a lot of guessing on both ends, which it's a good sign. Um, Puppeteer will augment your query selectors. Like, there's a way that you can actually try out your selector. So what we did basically we came here, but there's a list of best animes that are out there on this random website, and since Sergey is a huge fan of anime, we said, you know what, let's turn this into a list that we can retrieve through Puppeteer. And we added Puppeteer as a package, and we have this function, and we used the, kind of like the example that Puppeteer provides you to get started. So you have the concept of a browser, concept of a page, and then the queries that we were testing, you can just run them here on a page level, like this guy right here. And yeah, and then you have to make sure you close everything. Then we decided, okay, let's actually turn this into a API. What would it look like? So we introduced Express and started the Express app, and then we're just calling that one function. So behind the scenes, Puppeteer is retrieving the data, and then we could potentially like clean it up and enrich it and expose it as an actual API. So it's pretty powerful stuff.
Awesome. Right, so should we jump to the speed round?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Right. Okay, so what do we have here? So this is a simple service. Like, I don't know if you ever want to kind of have fun with your colleagues and, kind of like put them on some funny picture or something like that, like kind of like crop, the silhouette out of like existing image that you have.
Okay.
Like maybe you have them like as friends in Facebook or on LinkedIn, and then like just put them into some funny places.
Okay.
So if you want to do something like that, then there is that service, remove image background, and you basically like take the image, like say like you can try an image of this dog.
Really?
And then like it would.
No, that's crazy.
Like it's definitely not always working, but like there is that kind of thing here as well, which potentially helps the service to know better, like those were the images that didn't work, those worked. My guess is they use some machine learning for that stuff,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
But
it's a very good use case for machine learning.
Yeah, it's
so
the main is
any
very
funny things that you did. People are
yeah, like like I, there are like two colleagues that that like I put somewhere in the mountains, like with a Ferrari. It was pretty fun.
Okay, I think I know who that is.
All right, so let's move to the next one. So this is just a kind of a canvas that like a bunch of canvas pictures that dude built, and I really like how it looks. So it's kind of like you can resize the canvas, and then like it would, based on the size of the image of the canvas itself, it would draw different shapes.
What?
And I think like that's really cool. Like it's a very cool example of, like here we have almost art direction in a way, where you have, a person turning into a bird, turning into a cow, and then later turning into a snake. And then like it's really like it can go like to the tiniest positions, like here, person, bird, cow.
What the hell?
And here's another one. Crazy. So like it's definitely, you need to be artistic, like to come up with something like that, and you need to know the technology very well, that like canvas, graphics, I think geometry, that kind of stuff, to come up with something like that. But like I really like how how it looks.
It's nuts.
How
did you know about
here.
This?
Just like a colleague shared it with me, so
sweet.
You can maybe check out the other ones later. Right. So next one. So Twitch, and MPJ and noopkat. So those two are kind of like broadcasters.
Is that the guy's name? His buddy, noopkat?
Listen, hear us.
No. So that's this lady over here, and they recorded this podcast. As we were researching of ways to improve our own show, we're trying to learn from the best. And we saw that function moved into the Twitch, and what they are doing here is pretty cool. I think it's kind of similar format to what we do, but obviously, there are different tools that they use here. They're kind of the MPJ is definitely way more experienced into doing those screencasts and making a show out of it. But what I really liked about this particular episode, that somewhere maybe close to 20 minutes, they start talking about what it is to broadcast, and how people see you, and how easy or hard it is to to do something like that. How some people think, oh, it's very easy to do, but then when they try, then they realize, oh, you run into this problem or that problem.
Oh my god, it's not easy at all.
Right. And another thing that they said is mood. They were talking about the state of mind, what it is that you're coming with to the show, and it's not always the the perfect mood.
That's so true, huh? Because there's people who I don't know if you've known this guy Ivan on Tech. He does a lot of cryptocurrency shows, and he's you could definitely feel how how positive that guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few Twitch players, video gamers on Twitch that are really popular, and you can kind of feel the positive energy. I don't know how they could do that very often, but I think people can feel it, what kind of state of mind you come with.
Right. But here, so that's where MPJ actually said that, it's not always like that. I'm there is kind of a persona of what people imagine of me, but it's not really who I am. And those are different things. So what he I really suggest you take a look at this episode, at the first half an hour, and he was talking about that even when you're not in the best mood, then you kind of have to try and tell it to the audience so that they try to connect with you and see I'm not feeling too well today, but I'm trying to still record it, and hopefully it'll feel better just by doing that. So kind of bring something positive as part of it as well.
Yeah, that's very relevant to us for sure. I'll check it out.
Yep. Small thing that I really liked here is, oh, it's nice. There is a preview, and at some point they get to this section where break time, and then some music is playing, so it's kind of gives you very interesting impression.
Fika time.
Yes. Fika time. Cool.
Pretty cool.
So there is that. And last one. So Say It Skillfully YouTube channel. So I found this one on LinkedIn recently. And that's basically a lady who talks about how do you express some kind of some complex things in a nice way, so that like it kind of works for everyone. Like it's not very harsh, but also it kind of like tries to bring the message so that everyone realize. And like she's trying to kind of like help people to come up with the right words for different solutions. So say, vendor fails or performance reviews, and it's not necessarily bad. It's just, like different situations that are kind of relevant to development, I find, and like
Okay. Somebody
to
shared
modern
that on LinkedIn.
companies. Yes.
Did your team dynamics turn to the dark side? That could be relevant to us. Sure.
Yeah. Like create space for quietest voices, or disrespectful.
What does that mean? Create space for the quietest voices.
So like the way how I didn't watch this particular one, but like what I think of it is probably it's a way to kind of like if you have a team and you have people who usually don't raise their voices, like how do you bring their opinions?
Okay, gotcha. Which one did you see?
So I think like I watched this one, 3 words kill conversation, and the words are but, no, and however. So like if you start your sentence with those words, then kind of like you have to stop doing that, because that's not very positive for another person who is presenting. Because at that point, when you say but, it might feel that your vision overrides theirs, and then like that's where you'll most likely receive the fight.
Okay.
So instead of that, you should kind of agree to the point and like tell what you see is a positive thing, or kind of try to maybe change it so that like what have you thought of, and then like try to convey your message.
You definitely see like the more there's people with higher emotional intelligence, they kind of they would never like confront you on bad ideas that way. It will just be like you said, have you ever thought of this way? And that's, I always envied that, like how do they do it?
Yes,
it's a skill.
I agree. On the other side, imagine two people, like just for fun, like imagine 2 people with that high emotional IQ kind of disagreeing.
It
so
would
like
never
what the
go
conversation
anywhere.
would sound like.
Yeah.
Oh, like very likely they will agree, like just that's what should happen. Anyway, so I think like it's very, very cool channel. Like I think there are like different situations, like you can, if you run into some situation, very likely there is something that here that can help you to find the right words to put it to another person.
Pretty cool.
All right, and that is it.
That's it
for today.
Okay, yeah, I didn't have any items this week, only because it's been pretty crazy week, I think, for both of us maybe.
Right.
But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed the show. Subscribe, like. I'll push the code on GitHub that me and Sergey worked on, and hoping to do more Puppeteer stuff in the future. Yeah, let us know what kind of topics we should be covering. I think our next episode should be on I guess it's gonna be on accessibility. It's funny that Sergey's phone always goes offline at the end.
It didn't. Okay. Like I just got a call, that's why.
Okay.
But
it's every time we want to end the show, your phone goes off. Yeah, welcome back. So yeah, do you have anything else to say, Sergey?
Yeah, so come back for accessibility talk next week, and thank you, Marwan, so much for showing me like how to use Puppeteer, and like what are the points that you find are useful. Like
Yeah.
it's very interesting for me, like to see, like maybe one day, like to see how you use it to get the data. Like of course not the financial piece, but like maybe something kind of like more of a real life example. And
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. I intend to work with it a lot. I like it a lot, and there's lots of use cases for it. And hopefully, I could do more tutorials and shows on the subject matter. Okay,
awesome.
thanks, guys. Thanks, Sergey, for your help, and have a great one. We'll end it right here.